Hello and welcome to West Talk. Today is Tuesday, March the 1st, and we've got a great episode for you today as usual. Jumping right into it, guests we've had on every season and will continue to do so from the Corner Brook Status of Women's Council, Valetta and Paula. We're on a first name basis now, you're here so much. How's things?
Things are good. How are things with you?
Things have been well. I know last time you were here, you were talking about a new program that you were just starting out, just sort of recruiting for at that time. And now today, you're here to tell us about SARA and how that's evolved and is now live and active. So who wants to start? Recap, what is SARA?
I will. Yeah. We're very excited today because the last time we were in, we were recruiting for volunteers. We did get enough volunteers to get ourselves up and on the go, and our sexual assault advocacy and response line has now gone live. So for any person, and I do mean any person because it's gender inclusive, who has experienced sexual assault, they can call or text our 24-hour-a-day crisis line, and they can reach us at 216-HELP.
And so this is a phone line that is now live, and I just noticed, as you said here, it applies to people of all genders and ages. Is there sort of like is this meant to deal with really current, recent, like crisis, or also sort of past things? Maybe people who might see this as like an opportunity to talk about something that has happened a while ago.
It's most appropriate for more recent sexual assaults because in addition to providing emotional and psychological support through the crisis and text line, we're also able to provide accompaniment. So if somebody does require a hospital exam or wants to make a report to the police or to their school or anything like that, then our volunteers are actually trained to be able to accompany them to those occasions as well. But if somebody does have a historical trauma of sexual assault, we can also provide some emotional support and connection to some resources as well.
Yeah, I guess you guys have always served as a great resource and kind of a go-to in our city and our region for that. So what's different about this line now, and how did you know that something like this needed to be in place here in Corner Brook?
Well, you've been looking at this for 10 years, so you can answer that one.
We've really seen a need for something on the ground here around sexual assault services for a while. And I guess with additional media attention to how some of the recent cases around sexual assault have been covered, it once again highlighted that need for on-the-ground services. So we've been behind the scenes working with a number of community and government partners to try and make something like this happen. And the Corner Brook Status Women Council is the lead organization, but we're not doing it on our own. And so we really saw the need to kind of make this happen now.
And so what are some of the differences between like the accompaniments that you mentioned and other in-person supports that you offer?
Well, I guess anyone can come into our Women's Center for support and information, programming, things like that. But this is specific. Our volunteers have all been trained specifically to deal with the aspect of sexual assault, around trauma, around the responses that someone might typically have as it pertains to sexual assault. And so they went through an intensive training of about 40 hours specifically to help in these cases of sexual assault and to understand the various different systems that people might interact with as well. So whether that's around going to the RNC office, whether that means accompanying somebody to a sexual assault forensic exam, and what all is entailed, so that they can also explain those processes to individuals and be an accompaniment to them.
Wow, yeah. I imagine it can be kind of a frightening and confusing time for people, so having essentially a friend on your phone on sort of speed dial could be an amazing thing for someone. For your volunteers, I think you mentioned you have about 12 right now, including some of your staff. How many would you love to have?
I'd love to have them all. We're very greedy.
Yes.
But realistically, we're going to have another training session in April, so probably right after the end of final exams, because we find that a large number of our volunteers are university-age students, so we thought we'd give them a break, let them get through their exams first.
Yeah.
And then we're very excited because this set of training will be live. We'll actually be able to, assuming COVID doesn't take another swing
Yeah.
at us, this time we'll be able to sit down one-on-one in person and actually deliver the training.
So because I guess that implies your previous training would have been done virtually
It
with the
was.
people you have now in place.
Yep. And we're, so glad that our volunteers stuck with us through that. And it was also our first time kind of offering it. And of course, we had to adapt everything to a virtual means. So we're really excited to be able to do it live and in person.
So tell me more about the ideal volunteer then, and what type of people you find best to help with these types of situations.
Sure. The first and foremost, they have to be over the age of 19. By all means, if you're under 19 and watching this and want to get involved with the Women's Center, give us a call anyways. We love young feminists. However, the other things that you kind of need to be, you need to be feminist, which doesn't mean anything really other than you believe in the equality of all sexes. You need to be pro-choice. It's not going to work out well to give options if you're uncomfortable with those options. And beyond that, just kind of a kind, caring demeanor and the ability to put the time in. If you have all the check boxes from the first part, but don't have the time to actually do any shifts, probably not worth your 40 hours to get the training done.
Yeah.
The only other thing I might add is that consider your own experiences, that if you are still struggling perhaps with maybe a trauma you've experienced around sexual assault, that maybe you need to consider where you are in your own recovery, because it can be really difficult hearing some of these stories.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of, I guess, what I would like to lead into next is sort of that other side of what it means to be a volunteer, as you guys know all too well, and dealing with this type of crisis, and how that can weigh on volunteers, and what would you say to people who are maybe a little on the fence of thinking they would love to help, but wonder if they can handle it?
So that's actually a really interesting question. There's a large part of the training that talks about secondary trauma and vicarious trauma, and talks about how we deal with it. Talks about self-care and gets into our processes for debriefing after a call, debriefing on a monthly basis, so that the whole volunteer base is in touch on a regular basis and is getting additional training, is getting additional support, so that they can work through what they've witnessed, really.
So you're pretty confident that the training in itself will prepare people for what they'll be doing as volunteers, or at least help them understand or realize if this is for them or not?
Absolutely. And they always have the option to decide, even after they've done the training, that if they feel like this is still hitting a little too close for them and they're not quite ready, and there is no obligation to actually follow through and take shifts.
And Valetta, what does an average shift look like as a volunteer with SARA?
So an average shift, so like we were mentioning, we had gone on a soft launch, so it was pretty quiet the last week. So at the moment, most of our volunteers are babysitting a phone, a very well-behaved phone. It makes very little noise. But as we become more known, as COVID regulations start to lift and people mingle more, we're expecting, perhaps a call a night. I'm hopeful that it won't get much busier than that, because that's certainly a bad sign for the way of the world. But yeah, you're looking at every shift, every other shift, to expect a call, to have a conversation. Based on the numbers of people that have been into Western Memorial for a SANE exam, which is the forensic exam for sexual assault, you're looking at maybe once a month, twice a month, you'll be on an accompaniment, not an individual person, but the SARA project as a total.
Yeah, I was kind of, that was a thought in my head as well, of how you would get a sense of what the demand and need is in a region, but I guess that's like a resource in itself, of working with the health authorities and finding out sort of how many people are taking these tests and entering the hospital for that reason.
We have a good idea of the historic from both Western Health and from RNC and RCMP. But we're very hopeful that with the SARA project, we'll hear more calls. Whether they decide to move forward or not, that's completely up to them. We'll never push them to do one thing or another. But we're hopeful that more people will come forward and ask for help. And even if that help is just, what are the resources here locally? Can you talk to me? Can you sit here and just be another person on the other end of the phone while I work through this?
That's well said. And is there anything else you would want to say about SARA or just in general about the status of Women's Council in Corner Brook?
Anything in particular you want to say?
Just a reminder that International Women's Day is coming up on March the 8th. We do have an event coming up next week. We have a very few tickets left. Our event is taking place at Bloomington Cross Country Ski Club at 6 p.m. on March the 8th. Our keynote speaker is Gemma Hickey, and the theme is Break the Bias. We also have musicians Amanda Squires and Robin Terry, who will also be performing. Amazing.
And if you want more information about SARA, you can call the office at, or want to get involved, you can call the office at 639-8522. You can find SARA on Facebook at SARA Cornerbrook.
SARA Cornerbrook.
That's it. And you can find us on the website, which is
cornerbrookSWC.com. Awesome. This is the fun of launching a new project, right?
If you Google Cornerbrook Status of Women Council and don't click the Facebook link, it will take you to our website.
Yes, Cornerbrook SWC.
Awesome. Yes. You guys got so much stuff on there. It must be hard to keep track of it all sometimes, but these are another great addition of resources to our community. Thank you so much for your hard work to put all this together. And for all of you at home, you can check it out, and should you ever need to, 709-216-HELP, a number you can remember. Write it down, keep it with you, put it on your fridge, or give to a friend who needs it. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to talk to David Smallwood about the events of the month. Stay tuned.
So why volunteer at Rogers TV? Well, it's fun, exciting, and challenging. You can develop practical, hands-on skills in TV production, make new friends, and have fun, all while giving back to your community. For a few hours a week, you can be part of a great team making great local television. Want to find out more? Get in touch with us at rogerstv.com. Make your mark and find a new passion as a Rogers TV volunteer.
Well, thank you, Jean. Good to see you again, sir. We have a lot of good stuff happening here at the Rotary Arts Centre, starting this Saturday night. We've got a full complement of shows, and as most people know, as of the 14th of March, our theatre will be back to 100% occupancy. We know that people are a little bit concerned about going into theatres, closed spaces, but I want to reassure people that we have taken control of this. We've invested in some heavy-duty HEPA filtering systems, which clean both our theatre and our art gallery very quickly of any virus issues. And we are going to suggest that people at least consider wearing their masks while wandering around the theatre, if not while seated. So with that in mind, and the fact that we'll be opening 100% soon, we're happy to have all these new programs to offer the people of Corner Brook. Starting with none other than Rube and Rake. Rube and Rake are out of St. John's. They are an amazing duo with the closest, most luscious harmonies. They both play a mean guitar, and they have been nominated by the ECMAs for Best Album and Best Performance. So, good stuff. Following that, we have Kim Harris. Now, anybody in Corner Brook will know Kim. She's from here, although she's living in Nova Scotia now, has been. She was one of these young, talented Corner Brookers who studied here, went off to university in the mainland, and sadly stayed there. But for her, it's been a good thing because her career has blossomed, and she is really one of the preeminent singers in the Halifax area and throughout Nova Scotia at the moment. She is a delight. She's a wonderful, wonderful home girl, too. And after that, we have none other than Hillsburn, the band from Nova Scotia. that have been nominated 100 times for various awards, and we're delighted to have them on our stage. That will be on the 24th of March. Kim is on the 16th of March, and Ruben Rake are on the 5th of March. We also have Jody Richardson and Brian Way coming. Jody is bringing an amazing group of tribute songs to various artists. Corner Book knows Jody well, and Jody will be here with Brian on the 18th. And on the 4th, I should mention this coming Friday, the students the theater students who are going off to Harlow from Grenfell are having a variety show as a fundraiser. And that's at 7 o'clock on Friday the 4th. Culminating this whole thing is our biggest show ever that we've done. No doubt everybody knows of Andrew Lloyd Webber. He wrote Phantom of the Opera. He wrote Sunset Boulevard. He wrote Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. He also wrote an amazing piece of work called Tell Me on a Sunday. And we are producing that for the very first time in Newfoundland. It's never been done, St. John's, Corner Brook, Labrador City, not even on Bell Island. And here we have Tell Me on a Sunday, starring Wendy Woodland, directed by Grenfell's Jerry Etienne, and accompanied musical director is Brian Way. And it promises to be an amazing, amazing show on April 7th, 8th, and 9th. Tickets are going really well for that, and I would suggest anybody who has any love of Andrew Lloyd Webber's music or can appreciate the brilliant talent of these musicians should get their ticket as soon as possible. www.rotaryartscentre.ca. Everything is available on our website. That's what we have for March and April. Well, for early April. We also have the Rotary Music Festival happening here in March. We don't have details yet. And of course, our art galleries are always wide open and containing, as you can look around here, some incredible art. So thank you, Gian, and thank you, Rogers. That's all we have for today.
Hello, everyone. Long time no see. We are very much looking forward to reopening. Coming up in March at the Arts and Culture Center, we will have a gallery exhibit on in the lobby area. Unfortunately, we won't have any shows until the 27th of March because we are getting our house lights replaced. So when you come back to the theater, it is going to be all warm and lovely and lit by LED lights. So we are thrilled that this project is able to happen. So after Grenfell Campus International Night on the 27th of March, we have Rotary Music Festival. It's going to take place in a slightly smaller format, and we're still working out the details, but I'm sure that for those of you who've been looking forward to it, there's ways of participating and coming out and really celebrating music coming back to our stage. Also in April, we have Jeremy Dutcher is going to be with us, and this is a co-production that we're working on with CB Nui, and we're really looking forward to that. Also coming up in April, we have Craig Young is coming here, and then following that, we have a Simoni tribute, and then Janet Cull. Mike Lynch, his show has been rescheduled for the end of April, and Legendary Ladies. And for those people who've been looking forward to the show, that is 2 years in the making. It was originally supposed to happen 2 years ago. So it's coming up at the end of April, and we know that it's going to be a fabulous concert. As always, do check our website for all the shows that have been scheduled, rescheduled, and who knows what. So we are very much looking forward to having you back in the theater. But one more thing that's also going to happen in March, and that's in conjunction with Rogers TV, is a Tombolo International. And that is celebrating all the different cultures around Newfoundland. And we were very fortunate here in Corner Brook to get to film a group from Sri Lanka. And also, we are also able to film Margie Benoit Wheeler and Doug Walburn Goff off talking about Crow Gulch, which is a really important part of the history of Corner Brook. So do keep an eye out for that online, and it's in partnership with Rogers. And I hope to see you back in the theater at the end of March and into April and moving forward. Thanks everyone, and see you at the show.
So why volunteer at Rogers TV? Well, it's fun, exciting, and challenging. You can develop practical, hands-on skills in TV production, make new friends, and have fun, all while giving back to your community. For a few hours a week, you can be part of a great team making great local television. Want to find out more? Get in touch with us at rogerstv.com. Make your mark and find a new passion as a Rogers TV volunteer.
And that's a wrap on our episode of West Talk today. A little reminder for you all at home, tomorrow at Marble Mountain, the second Mountain Market. This is a huge market with over 50 vendors in place, and last time we had over 1,000 people come out, so you should be one of those. Tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. at Marble Mountain, followed by an open mic at Bishop's Tavern. I want to thank our guests today, Valetta Colbourne and Paula Shepard-Thillo, for coming down to tell us about SARA, a new resource for sexual assault response and advocacy here in Western Newfoundland, as well as Krista Hansen and David Smallwood for telling us about all the awesome events happening right this month in Western Newfoundland. So, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday on West Talk. Have a good night.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. Life has changed for all of us during the pandemic, and many people are turning to alcohol and drugs to cope. Even though most of us are staying home more, police across Ontario